I know is this, that I want an adult involved in helping a child. We're talking about minors now. We're not talking about 24-year-olds or whatever. We're talking about, you know, young women who could be as young as 13 or 14 years old. I want an adult who has their best interests at heart, and I don't want someone who is involved in actually performing the procedure to be that person, because I don't think that they're necessarily neutral in the situation. We want someone who's going to look and say, given this child's situation, here's the best way to handle that. And you know, that to me is actually the most open approach to the whole thing. I'm not dictating that this young child has an abortion or doesn't have an abortion. I want a process to make certain that that child gets the best possible adult input into her situation. And if it's not going to be her parents, and preferably I think everybody in this room can agree that in the ideal world it would be the parents, right?
No.
In the ideal?
It's the person.
What's that again? I'm not, person who's pregnant. Oh, yeah, but a 13 or 14-year-old? I mean, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, hold on. There's a lot of people talking all at once. And listen, again, I'm happy to discuss this issue with you, and let's have a dialogue. Let's talk about it. But we all know that, I mean, right now, today, in the state capitol, there was a hearing by the Sentencing Commission, and they were talking about young men who have been incarcerated for doing terrible crimes. And they were focused on you know, very young people. I'm talking about 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. And their argument was that we should treat them differently, and we should treat them as juveniles, even past the traditional age of 17 or 18, because their brains haven't been fully formed. They're not capable of making the kind of decision, a mature decision, a fully developed adult would do. So if we're
saying that abortion is a crime, like you're pleading?
No. I'm not saying abortion is a crime. No.
We have another question.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
The gentleman.
Again, I promise you, I will come back again, but let's not keep it all on abortion. I'm happy to talk.
Get the questions. The gentleman in the blue t-shirt.
I have a question about SB 330, the ultrasound bill.
Yes.
Which requires, without exception, that anyone, majority, minority, young, old, rich, poor, anyone female, anyone who wants an abortion has to get an ultrasound, period. Now, most abortions happen in the first trimester, and in a lot of those cases, this ultrasound is going to be, as they say, transvaginal. So there's that, but more generally, I find it rather odd that especially a Republican initiative would want to specifically interpose the legislature between a patient and a doctor. Get right into that.
He also asked, do any other states have this law? I actually don't know the answer to that. Let me explain to you something right now, if I could. Can I quickly? The bills that have been submitted by legislators had to be submitted by January 13th. And they're submitted in plain language form. They're really not a bill. It's just a concept. And so the language for the bill hasn't even been drafted yet. And all these details
That's
about...
not true.
Who wrote this?
This has been drafted.
Who wrote this bill, whether it be on a napkin or whatever? Who wrote it?
I believe it was Senator McLaughlin out of Danbury, if I'm not
And two
mistaken.
others.
And did he get it from someone else in another state?
I do not know. I don't know where he got it.
I think the senator is
Yes.
saying,
This is not ratified.
right, and the senator is stating what he believes, so, let's move on to another question, all right?
Thank you. Just to bring it back to the discussion we were having a little bit earlier about parental notification bill, in terms of the judicial opt-out, on whom is the burden of proof to prove that the child is in an abusive situation and therefore wants a judicial opt-out? And will parents, you say quick judicial decision, but would parents be notified that their child is both pregnant and wants an exemption?
In a judicial proceeding, the judge would make the decision about what's in the best interest of the child and whether the parent should be notified or not. And if the judge determines from the facts as presented by the pregnant young woman and anyone else that may be brought into it, might be the counselor from the abortion clinic, I don't know. The judge would be, what was that?
Would she be given a lawyer, a representative?
you don't need it. This is not a judicial proceeding in the sense of being legal, where there's facts and evidence and that kind of thing. It's not a case where you're judging somebody guilty of something, all right? It's just a question, the judge is going to try to assimilate facts so that he or she can help make that decision that's in the best interest of a 13, 14, or 15-year-old. And again, I go back to what I just said today. We're saying that young men who have committed horrible crimes shouldn't be held accountable because their brains aren't fully developed. Yet we're saying a 13 or 14-year-old girl is capable of making that without any kind of adult input. That's all I say. Okay, I would like to